Meeting of the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency. The meeting was properly served, and we'll start with a roll call of the Board of Directors. I'm Kathy Murphy.
Ricky Brown.
Jim Kinsey.
Sonneborn.
Steve Thompson.
Your proof of notice, as I said, was properly served. First order of business on our agenda today is a public hearing before Salina First. Eric.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks all who are in attendance. So notice of a public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing pursuant to Section 859-A of the New York General Municipal Law will be held by the City of Syracuse Industrial Development Agency on the 22nd day of April, 2025 at 8 a.m. local time at 233 East Washington Street, Common Council Chambers, City Hall, Syracuse, New York, in connection with the following matter. Salina First, LLC, requested the agency undertake a project consisting of the following. A, the acquisition of an interest in some or all of approximately 1.89 acres of vacant land located at 1081 South Salina Street in the city of Syracuse, New York, as well as the construction of a 5-story, approximately 25,000 square foot mixed-use building expected to consist of approximately 5,000 square feet of commercial space on the first floor, approximately 32 residential units on floors 2 through 5, for an aggregate of approximately 20,000 square feet of residential rental units consisting of approximately 20 two-bedroom units, 12 one-bedroom units, and of which 10% of the units will be designated and reserved for tenants meeting the income and affordability requirements in accordance with the City of Syracuse's zoning ordinance and related regulations. Site work will also be included, but not limited to, green space enhancements, new sidewalks, paving, striping of approximately 75 parking spaces, and related landscaping, and all located on the land. And the acquisition and installation in and at the land and facility of furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and together with the land and the facility, and the granting of certain financial assistance in the form of exemptions of real property tax, state and local sales and use tax, and mortgage recording tax, as well as the appointment of the company or its designee as an agent of the agency in connection with the acquisition, construction, equipping, and completion of the project facility, and the lease of the land from the company to the agency pursuant to a lease agreement, and the acquisition of an interest in the equipment pursuant to a bill of sale from the company to the agency, and the sublease of the project facility back to the company pursuant to a sublease agreement. The company will be the initial owner and operator of the project facility, and the agency will, at the above stated time and place, hear all persons with views with respects to the proposed financial assistance to the company, the proposed owner/operator, and the location of the project facility and the nature of the project.
Thanks, Eric. We do have representatives of the applicant here, and I'm just wondering if anybody wants to make any comments or updates on the project prior to taking public comment.
Morning, everybody. Nice to see you again.
Name and address, please.
Gail Montplaisir. My home address or the
Home is fine.
3637 Slate Mills Road, Sperryville, Virginia.
Thank you.
So the project, as many of you know, has been ongoing we're going into our 8th, 9th year, and it's been a very interesting time because there have been so many changes in Syracuse itself and in the investment client here. And we have been working very diligently, as I think you guys know from our reports, to bring in the kind of financing and subsidies that we need to be able to develop this property in an underserved community on the south side of Syracuse. We have achieved that. Yay. It's very exciting, but we still need your help to be able to get over those last hurdles. So we are asking for some incentives to be able to help us be able to finalize the capital stack and be able to move things forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Gail.
Any questions before Gail? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Oh. Oh,
Emmanuel Henderson, JHP Industrial Supply, 321 West Taylor Street, Syracuse, New York.
good morning.
Good morning. I am definitely in favor of the application for this project because of the due diligence that we've been going through to get this project over the hump with the increasing of the extra units in that property. We think this is a great time for this project to go forward with the tax breaks and things from the SIDA. So we're here begging to get this over the hump. Believe me. I've been at this a long, long time, and it's about time for us to get this over the hump and get this moving.
Thank you. Any questions on it? No.
Thanks for staying with it, Emma.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Hearing none, the hearing is closed. Next item on the agenda is approval of our minutes from our Board of Directors meeting March 25th, 2025. Minutes were included in the packet. Is there a motion? Motion made by Ricky, second Ken. Any comments for change, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. Next item, the Finance Committee met last Thursday, I believe, April 17th, to review quarterly financials for the agency as well as an in-depth financial review of the application by Salina First. Both were approved for positive recommendation for this Board of Directors. First item of new business is Salina First, Sue Katzoff. I just wanted to say before Sue, I want to remind everyone that as Gail indicated, there was a prior project that had received benefits. So Sue will walk us through. We will be terminating the benefits for that project and then hearing about the benefits for the new residential project. Sue.
Thank you. As Kathy noted, several years ago, we entered into a lease agreement and associated documents with Salina First for a project that was approved by this board at the same exact location, but the configuration of the project was a little bit different. It had fewer residential units and a larger portion of commercial light manufacturing space. Due to COVID, the inability to get that project financed, despite their best efforts, they came back and advised us that they couldn't put the capital stack together to finance that proposed project. As a result, we need to terminate those lease documents because that project will not be completed. I want to note for the record that there is no recapture of benefits to be had because they didn't utilize any of the benefits you awarded them. They did not take advantage of any sales and use tax because they didn't construct anything. And while they were operating under a pilot agreement, because they never built anything, there was never an abatement applied. They continued to pay real property taxes on the property as it existed during this period of time. So there's no recapture, there's no double dipping, if you will, because they never used your benefits. So we will need a motion to terminate that project and all of those documents for the reasons set forth.
So, any questions? Is there a motion? Motion made by Ricky, second by Ken. Last call for comments. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a review of the resolutions for the Salina First new application of residential units. We'll start with the seeker.
Yes, thank you.
We'll start with the seeker resolution for the project.
Yes, so it's just out of order a little bit on your agenda, but I'm going to introduce the seeker resolution first. So the project we just heard about during the public hearing is really mostly residential units. It has a small piece of commercial with it. The residential units will comply with your zoning code, the city zoning code, and it will have a 10% set aside of units that will be restricted to those earning 80% AMI. So they submitted an EAF, which is the environmental form necessary to undertake the seeker review. That was done. This agency is acting as lead agency for an uncoordinated review. The review of the environmental information indicated that this is an unlisted action, and there is a proposed issuance of a neg deck attached to your resolution.
Thank you, Sue. I will just note for the board, the project is in the pipeline for brownfield tax credits, which have been approved, and remediation of the property is ongoing. Any questions, comments, concerns?
In
Ken,
terms of the brownfield, when will that be completed?
I believe,
So the brownfield tax credits are issued after the project is completed. So we have to do the remediation first, and once we have what they call the COC, Certificate of Completion, we then can apply with our taxes for that year. And so we're looking at perhaps the start of them will be next year, but it could very well go into the next year after that.
Now, when will the remediation be done? Not the seeking of the credits, but when is the remediation going to be completed?
So the remediation is done on this project during the site work because it's a cover system. That's what we're doing. And so a lot of the spoils have already been removed and brought to special sites for cleanup. And then the other areas will be covered either with concrete or asphalt or other green material.
any other questions, comments? Motion to approve the seeker? Motion made by Ken, second. Ricky, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Sue?
The next resolution for your consideration with respect to this project is the inducement resolution. This resolution seeks to undertake and authorize the project to appoint the company as your agent for purposes of undertaking and completing the project. It authorizes the execution and delivery of the agency agreement, which is attached to your inducement resolution. It is the agreement that governs the parties' relationship between the time the project is approved by the agency and the time that we close on the lease transactional documents. It authorizes state and local sales and use tax in an amount not to exceed $225,258 for the project, and mortgage recording tax in the amount of approximately $77,000.
Questions, comments? Motion. Made by Ken, second. Ricky, last call. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries.
Thank you. The next resolution in your agenda with respect to this project is the pilot resolution. I will note that this is a 15-year pilot, which complies with your uniform tax exemption policy. The project has been, as I noted, and will continue to pay real property taxes on the land as it exists today. The abatement provided will apply only to the improvements that they make. The abatement schedule will kick in 2 years when the construction period has ended. And that schedule is contained at the back of your resolution.
Questions?
I'll move it.
Oh, moved by Dirk, thank you. Second by Ken. All in favor?
You shouldn't get them all.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Sue?
The final resolution in the agenda is the final approving resolution, and this authorizes the execution and delivery of all necessary lease transactional documents to confer the benefits that have been approved to the project.
Thank you. Motion?
I'll move it.
Motion made by Turk. Second? Second, Ken. Last call for comments, questions, or concerns. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you very much. Congratulations to Salina First. We look forward to seeing those buildings going up.
Go get them.
Thanks for being here. Next item on the agenda is Allen Buyer Auto Sales. Sue?
Good morning, everyone. Several years ago, the agency undertook a project for the Allen Buyer, the car dealerships on West Genesee Street. There were 3 original parties to those transactions. One was Allen Buyer Trust, one was West Genesee Realty Associates, and one was Stephen Buyer. The agency provided benefits so that they could construct and remodel their facilities on West Genesee Street. Allen Buyer passed away recently, and he was the single person on the trust. And upon his death, his portion of the interest in the real property transferred to Stephen Buyer. They owned collectively, the trust and Stephen Buyer owned parcel 1, which was located at 1232-36 West Genesee Street. So upon his passing, when his interest in that parcel moved to Stephen, Stephen created a single-purpose LLC to hold title to that property. Excuse me. Unfortunately, he didn't recognize that he needed to come to the board to let us know that title to the property was transferring. So when we learned of that, we reached out to him and his counsel, and they provided us all the documentation indicating that Allen had passed away, that the trust divested its interest to Stephen, and the creation of this LLC, and then showed us that they transferred that one parcel into this single-purpose LLC. They are looking to this board to approve retroactively that transfer and to allow us to amend our lease documents to include the new single-purpose LLC in place of the trust. All other parties, including Stephen, will remain, but we will amend them to reflect the new ownership of that one parcel. And counsel for the trust
All
is...
the lawyers are here.
Yeah, we're all here.
Joining us are Mary Ann Cody and Jillian Roddick, from the McKenzie Law Firm representing the Buyer and Family Interest Trust. So does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns?
Is this procedural, or did it make any difference to us? I'd move it.
It doesn't make any difference to you because Stephen is still part of all this. He's not asking to be released, even though his interest in the property went to this new single-purpose LLC. Stephen's staying, so you're just swapping the trust, which is no longer a viable entity, with a new entity.
Moved by Dirk. Is there a second? Second, Ricky. Questions, comments for anyone? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you, Jillian. Any other business comments, questions, concerns? Concerns in the world, yes. Well, we don't have time for that.
That's a longer meeting, Dirk.
I'd move adjournment.
Moved by Dirk to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.